Hey, what's up everybody? This is Osterberg501 and today I wanted to go over the Corepunk closed beta test being delayed, some new footage we have gotten for character creation for the game, and just go over a little bit of an overview for Corepunk because I think a lot of people still haven't heard about this game and I think it's one of the best looking MMOs coming up anytime soon. So first off, we have the delay of the closed beta test for Corepunk. Now this closed beta test was slated for August 2021, but it has recently been delayed all the way back until December of 2021, which will also be pushing back the release date of the game till sometime early 2022, because before this delay, they wanted closed beta test to be August, and then they were still looking at December 2021 for the full release date. So those will both be pushed back. Now, something to also mention with the closed beta test is that this is going to be a very polished version of the game with a vast majority of the main systems working and in the game. So it's not going to be something akin to, say, Ashes of Creation when it gets into beta, which will be a early development beta. This will be much more akin to what you'll see in the full game, just probably a little bit more buggy with maybe a couple systems not fully implemented yet. And it seems that it's going to be a very polished beta, because that was also mentioned that the game is getting much more polished, so you'll probably see that within the beta. And if they're able to hit this beta and not have any major issues, I would fully expect within a couple months of the beta test in December that the game would be ready for a full release. So I'd fully expect a Q1 2022 for a full release of Corepunk if they don't have any big setbacks or issues. And then with this delay, they also released a 4 or 5 minute video of character creation in the game, which looks very polished, and it kind of shows off the graphics and the art style of the game a little bit more. I think this type of cartoony art style is just timeless. It's more akin to how Blizzard do their art styles with something like World of Warcraft, Heroes of the Storm, even something like Overwatch. They don't have that realistic art style, but they keep it with a more cartoony feel, but very stylized, and it looks really good. The graphical quality isn't like low fidelity or anything like that. Still looks really good with that art style that's going to last a lot longer before it starts to feel out of date. And just with some of these small effects going in this character creation, the character creation itself, to how the armor looks, to how when they move the characters around, the physics on the armor or the hair swinging around, all of it looks really polished. And like I said, the graphics and the art style look really good. And I will be having that full character creation video at the end of this video if you want to check it out. I really recommend watching it because you'll be able to get a better sense of the polish by listening to it and watching it as well. And the character creator itself has a good amount of options for a art style like this. This is a pretty good amount of options. It's not going to be something like BDO with this ridiculously customizable character creator, because the art style and the graphic style wouldn't fit that as much either. But overall, the character creator looks good. And for a quick overview of Corepunk, if you guys don't know what this game is yet, it is a isometric MMORPG that is going to have a focus on a big open world with open world PvP. The combat style is going to be much more similar to a MOBA like a League of Legends than something like a Diablo style combat system. And this is also shown in their abilities, the speed of the gameplay, and even if you go to their website where you can see 6 of the classes and all their abilities, even their abilities, the mana costs, the cooldowns are all laid out exactly like how MOBA lays out their character skilling, the statting of the abilities, and things like that. So it's going to be that style of gameplay. And it is going to be more of a theme park MMO with some more sandboxy community features, like being able to have guild versus guild battles, open world PvP, stuff like that. So it's going to be mostly a theme park, but with some of those sandbox systems added in as well. And on the PvE side of the game, they're going to have randomly generated dungeons, handcrafted dungeons that are instance. They're going to have instance raids, big raid bosses. They're going to have world bosses, wandering bosses, all the camps out in the open world while you're doing your questing and stuff like that. They're going to have rares in them, bigger bosses in them, elites, and then a ton of additional PvE content. They've also mentioned having stuff like a horde mode / infinite tower climb system for PvE. So you just keep climbing the tower, getting to new levels that gets harder and harder to be able to test yourself, stuff like that. So a lot of the PvE systems you'd expect from a theme park MMO are going to be in the this game and being right from the start, which is very exciting to give you a lot of endgame to do. And on that note, they have talked about how they're going about the overall design of the game, being that the game is going to be 40% leveling and 60% of the game is going to be endgame. So they're focusing on making sure they have a ton of endgame content on release of the game, because that is what they feel is the most important with MMOs. And I would tend to agree that endgame content in vast majority of the MMOs is what these MMOs live and die off of. Then for the PvP side of the game, you're going to have open world PvP, which also ties in with the fog of war system, which you'll be able to have wards, you'll be able to craft wards. Some classes will be able to have different variations of those wards. So very akin to MOBAs again, where if you're not in an area, if you don't have vision of that area, you can't see what's there, so you can sneak up on people. There's going to be open world PvP that you can toggle on and off, so you'll be able to go out, have big battles, just run across people in the open world and fight them if they have PvP toggled on. Then they're going to have more instance PvP modes, so they're going to have arenas, which I would expect there to be unranked and ranked arenas. They're going to have battlegrounds. And then I think they also mentioned guild v guild battles in some way. So you're going to have a good amount of PvP content as well as PvE content. And then there's also a lot of, I would say, more casual systems, but more things you would expect from a theme park MMO. So they have achievements you can go hunt. They have mounts in the game that are akin to something like World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy, where you can go hunt different mounts. You'll get different mounts from tons of activities. So they have the collecting of that. They have the collecting of cosmetics and transmog systems. So past just the gearing, they have a bunch of the progression or collection systems outside of just gearing that you would expect in a more theme park MMO. And then for the classes, there's going to be 12 classes on launch. If I'm not mistaken, they've changed a few times what they want on launch, but all of those classes are going to be split up into 3 weapon masteries. So every weapon mastery is going to have a special ability or essentially a passive that plays into all of your other abilities for that weapon mastery. You're going to have your 3 basic abilities and then your ultimate. So it's going to be built very heavily like MOBAs are built, and all the different weapon masteries for that class are going to use different weapons. So say one weapon mastery is a sword and shield, one weapon mastery is going to be a big two-hander, and then for those classes you're going to have weapon mastery trees and then these other slottable passive trees that you'll be able to put in a bunch of points into those to get different passive effects that can also augment your abilities and your playstyle. And there will be some additional things with that, but that's just an overview of how the classes are going to work. And then gearing is also a little bit different in Corepunk. So you're not going to be actually gearing your armor pieces. The armor pieces in Corepunk are only cosmetic. They will have a cosmetic shop as well to buy cosmetics, but you'll be able to earn all the transmoggable armor pieces throughout the game. But how the gearing is going to go is your weapon is also going to be able to be transmoggable, but your weapon is going to be an actual gear piece. And then you will have, if I'm not mistaken, 6 artifact slots, which are going to be your actual gear slots. And those artifacts are going to give statting on them. So say something like just like crit or strength, just base stats, movement speed, stuff like that. And then they can have other passive effects that aren't just basic stats. And then artifacts can also have activatable abilities. So if you think something like League of Legends, they have items that are either full passives that have passives on them that aren't just passive stats, but passive effects that can be procced in different ways. And then you have activatable ones. You can activate this ability. Maybe it does an AoE around you. Maybe it pulls you to something. Maybe it gives you an immunity for a certain amount of time. And you'll be able to mix and match any of those, and that will be the main form of gearing in the game, which I think is a pretty unique system because it also allows any class to use the same artifacts. So it'll be a bit easier to balance, but will also give a ridiculous amount of possibilities for mixing in different stats, different activatables for all the different classes. So that is pretty much just an overview of Corepunk. I do want to start doing more Corepunk videos as we wait for New World and as we wait for the now delayed Corepunk beta and then release, because it's one of the games I'm most excited for. And I do want to go more in depth with a lot of these systems because there is actually quite a lot of information out there if you know where to look for it on Corepunk. And I don't think a lot of people know a lot of this information because there pretty much has been no marketing for Corepunk past its initial release trailers. And I do think it's looking to be an incredibly well polished and good MMO. So subscribe if you want to see more Corepunk or other MMO videos. Leave a like if you liked the video. Leave a comment down below what you guys think about Corepunk as a whole, and thanks for watching.
Hello, we wanted to show you how you'll be creating your hero in Corepunk. So let's get started. You can customize your hero yourself, select from presets, or pick a random one. There are 9 million unique combinations. Visual style of Corepunk seems very simple and clean, but there are a lot of minute details, like reflective properties of metal here, or subsurface carrying off light on skin.